Good morning. My name is Barbara Payne, and I'm the worship associate today. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of the North Hills. Whether you've been with this church a decade or more, or this is your first time visiting, we welcome you. Whatever the faith and traditions of your past, we welcome you. Whatever your theological stance, we welcome you. Whoever you are and whomever you love, we welcome you. Whoever you are, whatever your journey has been, we welcome you. Newcomers and guests are always welcome to participate in any of our church activities. If you'd like more information about our church or Unitarian Universalism, please talk to our minister, Rev. Jane Thixton. You can find her contact information on our website. Be sure to join us for coffee hour following the service. The Zoom link will be posted in the YouTube chat at the end of the service. We will be breaking into small groups for better conversation. Again, welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of the North Hills. It is good to be together, even virtually.
I want to make a special announcement. We are doing our water communion next Sunday, but we need to record it now. And we've had 2 sessions and we have not seen a lot of you. We want to see everybody, especially those families with kids, but everybody. We want to see come out and pour their water in to celebrate our community. We want to know our community is still together. So please come. We made one more opportunity for you to bring your water, and that's today, Sunday, 2 o'clock to 3 o'clock, just 1 hour that we'll be out here to accept your water. Please come. It's important for our whole community. Be a part. We'll see you soon, 2 o'clock. Thanks.
Our opening words are by A. Powell Davies. Let me tell you why I come to church. I come to church and would whether I was a preacher or not, because I fall below my own standards and need to be constantly brought back up to them. I am afraid of becoming selfish and indulgent, and my church of the Free Spirit, brings me back to what I want to be. I could easily despair, doubt, and dismay could overwhelm me. My church renews my courage and my hope. It is not enough that I should think about the world and its problems at the level of a newspaper report or magazine discussion. It could too soon become too low a level. I must have my conscience sharpened until it goads me to do the most thorough and responsible thinking of which I am capable. I must feel again the love I owe to others. I must not only hear about it, but feel it. In church, I do. I am brought toward my best, in every way toward my best. Our chalice lighting uses the words of Dag Hammarskjöld. Each morning, we must hold out the chalice of our being to receive, to carry, and give back. Our opening hymn is With Heart and Mind. It's 300 in the hymn book, and the words will be on the screen.
With heart and mind and voice and hand, may we this time and place transcend, to make our purpose understood. A mortal search for mortal good, a firm commitment to the goal of justice, freedom, peace for all. A mind that's free to seek the truth, a mind that's free in age and youth, to choose a path no threat impedes, where the light of conscience leads. Our martyrs died so we could be a church where every mind is free. A heart that's kind, a heart whose search makes love the spirit of our church, where we can grow and each one's gift is sanctified and spirits lift, where every door is open wide for all who choose to step inside.
Later in the service, several people will talk about things they believe that help to guide them in their lives. The Time for All Ages version of this idea is short and sweet today. It's a quote from the Disney movie Pooh's Grand Adventure. Christopher Robin said to Pooh, "You're braver than you believe, and stronger than you seem, and smarter than you think." Just think what we could accomplish if we all believed this.
Good morning. I'm Lynn Richards from the Lay Pastoral Care Team. During our service, we create this sacred space for sharing within our community. It is a time to share significant life passages with the congregation so that you can be held in loving care. I'll be reading the joys and sorrows this morning. We will also be placing a stone, which represents each joy or sorrow, in the sand. The sand represents our congregation supporting our sorrows and lifting up the joys. First, from Midge Miles, a joy. It was with great relief that we learned that David had not suffered a heart attack or stroke last week. It was simply a very slow heartbeat, which has been corrected by the addition of a pacemaker, and he is now feeling much better. To Midge and David, we say, we share in your joy. Next, from Joyce Kepner, a sorrow. My sister-in-law, Kay Parkhurst Eason, passed on Thursday, September 3rd in Memphis, Tennessee. She was the love of my brother's life and will definitely be missed. To Joyce and her family, we say, we're holding you in our hearts. We now place one more stone in the sand for all the joys and sorrows that exist in our hearts, but which remain unspoken today. We continue to think of everyone affected by this ongoing COVID-19 pandemic. Please read with me the words appearing on the screen, knowing that here includes all those watching. Let us hold in our circle of caring each person here. Let us hold in our hearts those who are unable to be with us today. Let us hold in our memories those who have moved on. Let us find comfort in knowing that we are not alone.
I invite you now to join me in a spirit of prayer or meditation. Please settle in a little more comfortably. Close your eyes if you wish. Allow your body to relax into the sacred space that you are in. From the poet Rumi, listen to silence. It has so much to say. Let us pause for a few moments and do just that. We are much involved, all of us, with questions about things that matter a good deal today, but will be forgotten by this time tomorrow. The immediate wheres and whens and hows that face us daily at home and at work. But at the same time, we tend to lose track of the questions about things that matter always, life and death questions about meaning, purpose, and value. To lose track of such deep questions as these is to risk losing track of who we really are in our own depths and where we are really going. Frederick Buechner.
This, I believe, we should all eat dessert first. I don't remember when I first heard this phrase. Was it a book title, a fortune cookie? Was it life is uncertain, eat dessert first, or life is short, eat dessert first? Wherever it was, I took it to heart. I came across this in real life when I was in college. My parents had moved from Los Angeles to Harrisburg and found Groff's Farm Restaurant in Mount Joy, Pennsylvania. The owner, Betty Groff, was known for her cookbooks and delicious Pennsylvania Dutch food. When you ate at the restaurant, the first course was cracker pudding, better than it sounds, and a small piece of chocolate cake. She believed that people were too full after dinner for dessert, so they should eat it first. As a now recovering sugar addict, I was all over that idea. Eat dessert first took on a deeper meaning when my sister Judy, you'll hear from her next, was diagnosed with cancer. She was 43, a busy wife, mother of 2 teenage girls, Lamaze teacher, and in the best health of her life. She did jazzercise twice a week and played tennis. When she noticed a spot on her leg, she assumed it was a bruise from a tennis ball. When it didn't go away, she went to the doctor, where they immediately did tests and a biopsy and diagnosed a very rare form of cancer, lymphangiosarcoma. Within a week, she was an above-the-knee amputee, learning to walk on crutches and live life with just one leg. Chemo followed, then an artificial leg, but a year later, the cancer returned. Given a 20% chance of recovery, she had another surgery, this time amputating her leg at the hip, removing the ball and socket. More chemo, radiation, and the doctor's unsure hopes that it would work. It did. In the past 35 years, using only crutches, she learned to ski, walked in a 5K, bicycled weekly at the beach, and walked around her hilly neighborhood for years. She went back to school for a teaching degree and taught preschool for 7 years, saw both daughters married, and is the proud grandmother of 4. She and her husband traveled all over Europe. Crutches and one leg weren't going to stop her from living the life she wanted. I learned from her example. I was lucky to have a job where I could take an impromptu day off, so on some of those oh-so-rare sunny Pittsburgh days, I would take the afternoon off, put the top down in the car, and go for a drive. I took eat dessert first literally, and Bill and I instituted junk night on Fridays and started dinner with a bag of M&Ms or some other treat. All right, sometimes that was dinner. If I wanted to read a book instead of cleaning, I did it. Without going crazy, if I saw something I wanted to buy, I did it without agonizing for days about the cost. 20 years later, this was all brought home to me again. My parents lived up the street from us, and I saw them on Sunday before leaving for a business trip to Chicago. The last thing I said to my mom was, "Stay out of the hospital while I'm gone." On Tuesday, I received a phone call from Bill. "You need to come home. Your parents have been in a car accident. Your dad is still in the emergency room, but he can't remember what happened. Your mom has a brain bleed because of the blood thinner." I managed to get the last seat on the last flight and arrived home at 10:30 p.m. My sister, who lives in LA, happened to be visiting her daughter in Northern Virginia, so she was able to be there by 2 a.m., and my brother made the 10-hour trip from Northern Michigan in 9 hours. We spent the next week at the Allegheny General Hospital Trauma Unit until my mom died, surrounded by her family. These stories make it sound as if my life has been nothing but trauma, which isn't true. It has, however, pointed out that you never know what's going to happen. So I'm going to register that voter, read that book, support that cause, join that UU church, learn how to kayak, and eat that dessert first.
This, I believe. Find what you like to do and do more of it. Believe it or not, this wise advice came from a baseball player years after I was introduced to the game as a child. Wherever we lived, we were fans of the baseball teams, the Pittsburgh Pirates, the Detroit Tigers. Finally, when my husband and I moved to Los Angeles, California in 1968, we became Dodger fans. I was a big admirer of the catcher for the Dodgers, Mike Scioscia, who often was quoted in the LA Times sports section after their games. He said the words that have guided me in making decisions many times since then. Find what you like to do and do more of it. Along the way, I found many activities I liked to do and did as much as I could in those busy days of family life up until a 1985 change of lifestyle from using 2 feet to only 1 while treating a rare type of cancer which Cris has described so well. Then it became very important that I find something to do and like as an amputee. I thought I would never be able to replace all that I did in my previous life that made it so good. As soon as I, in 2 years, was deemed in remission, I started to be on the lookout for new ways of finding happiness. I mastered driving my regular car with no adaptations, which gave me that very important sense of freedom. I fell into the sport of amputee skiing through encounters with an active amputee skier, my love of skiing daughter, and a bulletin board announcement of a disabled skiing class through a local college, all at once. I thought maybe I was supposed to try skiing at age 45. Why not? If I didn't like it, I didn't have to do it. I not only liked it, I loved it. There was nothing else like getting on the chairlift with my outriggers acting as crutches with skis on the bottom, and my 1 foot attached to a real boot and ski, riding up the mountain, taking in all the fresh air, the beautiful view, the camaraderie of my blind, deaf, and paralyzed friends with their guides as I and they swooshed down the mountain one way or another. My fellow skiers taught me how to get back on a bicycle one day when the snow melted on an equipment road at Mammoth Mountain, to ride again with only 1 foot. As a child, I loved riding my bike. Those many feelings came back as I now strapped my 1 foot to the pedal, secured the crutches onto the back of the bike, and went shooting down the dry ski road, adapting right away. Later, with 4 bikes tied to my bike carrier and helmet in hand, my friends with 2 legs and I propelled ourselves up and down hills at the beach, 18 miles every Friday, stopping in the middle for a delicious lunch. Even during the times when bad things happened, activities just popped up anyway that were a big lift. I joined a memoir writing class, selected because a friend from my aquatic exercise class at the Y suggested I try when she went. I did. I fell in love, and I will keep writing through life's ups and downs. I believe I will still find more in my future that I like to do, and will keep doing more of it.
Good morning. There's an old saying that every cloudy sky has a silver lining. Reduced to its simplest, it basically means if there are bad times or cloudy times, there's also some light or good in the middle of them. Something that we can look for to get us through a tough time, or something that we can take joy in. There are similar concepts. In psychology, they have the idea of dialectics. And actually, in my high school, we had a saying, "Sukchiza Varishit." I probably did not pronounce that right, but it basically means cut it down and it grows back stronger, which is a very ominous way to teach high school, but I think it's a good saying nonetheless. This concept of silver linings is particularly important right now as we're living through the darkness of a pandemic, and maybe if you've been on social media. But look for that silver lining. Maybe you got to spend a little bit more time with family because you were home from work. Maybe, unlike me, you got a bit healthier. Maybe you finally found that work-life balance that all of us struggle with. But I wanted to tell a personal story. When I was 8 years old, I was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes. For an 8-year-old boy, that was a death sentence. I was told I had to quit sports teams, which ended up not being true. I was obviously severely restricted with food. I had to take 2 shots a day and countless finger pricks to test my blood sugar. And don't even get me started on sleepovers. So it took me some time to try to find the silver lining in it, but I think I finally come to it. First and foremost, unlike many of my colleagues and friends, I go to the doctor more than most. I get an semi-annual checkup. I go to my diabetes doctor, my eye doctor, and also a podiatrist. So I get a check-in about every 3 months to know that I'm healthy. And while that may not seem like fun to a lot of you, I will tell you my hard-earned bowl of ice cream that I so rarely get to enjoy is all the more enjoyed because it is rare. I think the silver lining that diabetes has taught me is an increased appreciation for the needs in life, the things we probably don't want to do, like going to the dentist or the diabetes doctor. And also, a few things that bring joy, you appreciate them all the more because you can't do them as often, like ball games and the aforementioned ice cream. There are silver linings, and I think we should all strive to find them in every big or little problem that occurs to us. Maybe you can't find that parking spot at the grocery store. Well, that might mean a few extra steps for your Fitbit. Or maybe there was no time to get groceries at all, and that led you to be more creative in the kitchen with what's left in your pantry. And if you can't go to work right now or don't have the opportunity to, maybe you can spend more time with friends and family. So this is what I believe. I believe that in cloudy times, there are always silver linings. And that if we focus on those, it'll make the unhappy times go that much faster. And if nothing else, the sun will come out tomorrow. Thank you.
This I believe. You can find gratitude even in times of scarcity. Gratitude saved my life. A majority of my family on my mother's side has suffered with some form of depression or anxiety, including me, although I didn't know this at the time. In my mother's case, it was acute and led to her passing at the age of 47. I struggled when I learned that she had committed something called passive suicide. She was gone. In my mind, the word passive shouldn't have existed in that sentence. It was seismic, big, scary, and indigestible. She took herself off all of her life-saving medications as she had severe medical issues, and she was gone in less than a week and passed on Thanksgiving Day. I was 18 and couldn't understand why she chose to leave versus fighting to be with her children. I didn't understand, and neither did my brother. We took 2 distinctly different paths in response to the trauma. I sought to clinically understand and to accomplish all the things to prove my worthiness, and my brother sought to numb himself. Well, at the time, I did a little bit of that too. But he went inward and never came back out. And today, he is still barely functional. I became hyper-efficient, and while I went inward too, I expressed it differently. I cut myself off from personal relationships and focused on personal exploration, or at least that's what I told myself. During this time of introspection, I made myself excel at everything, but internally, I lived in scarcity. I took psychology classes to understand mental illness, but I couldn't just relax into it. I forced myself to get straight A's. I started working out and dropped a bunch of weight, over 60 pounds. And I worked myself into the ground in the workplace and in every endeavor I tried. In such a headspace, it seems hard to see gratitude in anything. Everything seems bleak and empty, and I filled it with busyness. At the age of 20, I knew I had to come out of this, and I am blessed to have a good friend from high school who helped me do it. She taught me how to laugh again and to hug and breathe a little. In fact, we are still close to this day, and her efforts taught me my first real lesson in gratitude. I noticed when I spent time with her, I could see a lightness in myself. When she moved across the country, I dove back into working like crazy to fill the void. I got new friends and new preoccupations, but I didn't really remember gratitude. My whole life has replayed that scenario of crisis, work, rinse, and repeat until I got sick. Suddenly, I didn't want to be the best at anything. I just wanted to be okay. When you hear the word cancer and you're only 45, it stops you cold. After my surgeries, I joined a support group, and the focus of about half the survivors was gratitude. And I noticed that those who did this healed faster, tolerated pain better, and laughed a lot more. In that meeting, I made some life-altering decisions. First, I found this church. I devoted time to quiet reading and relaxation, and that it was okay if my plans included nothing at all. I started getting back into the arts, and I got a new kitty, and she taught me stillness. Others call it kitty paralysis, but she would curl up on my chest and put her nose under my ear and purr. I never, ever want that to stop. So I would use that time meditatively and focus on gratitude. And when I do that, I notice that crises just don't seem so big. It's 4 years later, and I am cancer-free. And while I thank the doctors who saved my life, it was really those women in that group who taught me the skills to not just live, but to thrive, to feel, to share, and to accept myself as I am. It is possible to find gratitude in scarcity and pull out of it. I make a daily list of gratitudes, and when I'm feeling down about the world we are living in, which is frequently right now, I write them down over and over until the gratitude replaces the fear and uncertainty. It works, and I'm living proof. I still suffer from depression, and I fight in all the recommended ways. I see a therapist, I keep a journal, and if necessary, I will take medications. But it's the gratitude list that makes me keep on fighting, living, and thriving.
One of my favorite readings in the back of the hymnal is number 657. It matters what we believe. This might be a bit ironic given that in general, I'm a bit skeptical of the virtue of having a lot of beliefs. I do believe in the existence of objective reality in the physical universe, that there's a truth about the nature of the cosmos that is independent of the perceptions and opinions of we latecomers. I assess this variety of truth in terms of probabilities. That gravity works everywhere is pretty much 100% true, but of the various theories that explain it, some may be closer to the truth than others, but it would be foolish to adopt one theory and cling to it as a belief. Not that some scientists don't do that. Given the existence of objective reality in the physical realm, it can't be the case that one theory is as good as another. We as a thinking species are very young, and science is exceedingly young. And we can and we should continue to do science and get closer to that never to be fully achieved understanding of what this is all about. Now, as to spiritual truth and those awesome questions, why am I here? Is there a cosmic purpose or intelligence? Are there other realities? I have no way to assign probabilities. But referring back to that reading 657, some spiritual beliefs are beautiful and beneficent, and others are ugly and destructive. I can't accept the platitude that all beliefs have equal values, that all that matter is that I believe something. But yet, because questions of value and meaning have some inchoate feeling of sacredness to me, I'd feel somewhat blasphemous, proclaiming even to myself truth in the spiritual arena. What is left to me, and what I suspect connects these two realms, are wonder and gratitude and responsibility. And they are enough. The very existence of matter itself, let alone the vastly greater wonder of we, breathing, thinking, feeling compendiums of chemicals, condensed and evolved out of the debris of exploded stars, leaves me gobsmacked. A near infinity of things had to happen just so, including the precise trajectory of a certain asteroid. And the very fact that I can't know any why about all this, and there may well not even be a why, makes it all and you all precious to me. Not seeing myself as part of some cosmic purpose makes me care a whole lot more about whether I and my blueboat bunkmates are being responsible stewards of this wonder, that in our little corner of this wonder. I believe in the importance of constantly reminding ourselves how lucky we are simply to exist, that we somehow won the cosmic lottery, and a realization that whether or not we matter to the cosmos, it is appropriate and essential that we matter to one another, because we are a kind of gift, and gifts shouldn't be wasted. Thank you.
I want to speak to you from my heart. I want to tell you what I once believed as a child and a young person, and what I believe now as a fairly mature lady. I was raised Catholic, and I attended Catholic schools for 12 years, happily and proudly, I must say. I was taught in religion classes that the Catholic Church had all the answers. The whole system was very satisfying to me then. Every aspect of life is addressed, from birth to death. There are sacraments to address every need and sanctify every life change, ending with your final exit. No need to think at all. Others, no doubt much smarter and more learned than me, had already thought it all out. Ah, yes, this is important. I believe that Jesus was my best friend, and it was he that I told all my troubles to. But very gradually, over the last 30 or 40 years, as I moved gradually away from Catholicism and its tenets, I realize and admit that I'm mainly a creature of feeling and senses. What do I feel? I feel wonder, exaltation, connection, and oneness with everything that is. Sometimes I feel like getting down on my knees and kissing the ground. Sometimes outside at night, I feel a fright that there is nothing between me and the stars. The very notion of God is so far above human understanding that I'll let others debate whether or not there is any force or being that is all-knowing, all-loving, and all-powerful. So, do I need to believe anything in particular in order to justify my life? Or the fact that I like to attend UUNCH, although I'm not, and I probably never will be a member. So, what do I believe in? I believe in my senses. I believe in the incredible beauty I see wherever I look, and I try not to turn away from the incredible ugliness, inequalities, and mistreatments of my fellow creatures. I believe if I can do even a little something about it, I must. I believe it is my duty, having been given the gift of life, to leave the earth just a tiny bit nicer than when I entered it. I believe in human connections, in talking to strangers whose lives and cares are as important to them as mine are to me. I believe in communing between species, in talking to dogs and cats, in being interested in the lives of my pet fishes, in listening to the mating call of birds and insects. I believe in the power of fun and music and dancing and the wonder of having a life partner with whom to share the adventure of living. And finally, I've come to believe that it's Dick, not Jesus, that's my best friend, my dearest friend. Thank you.
Our closing hymn is Standing on the Side of Love. It's 1014 in the Teal Hymn Book, and the words will be on the screen.
reflections of grace in every embrace, fulfilling the vision divine. We are standing on the side of love, hands joined together as hearts beat as one, emboldened by faith, we dare to proclaim we are standing on the side of love. We are standing on the side of love.
We know that our financial contributions to this congregation come from sacrifice and hard work. We are so grateful for this and commit together to ensure the funds we gather collectively do a greater good for ourselves and our world than they could have done alone. The morning offering will be taken by your going to the uucnh.org website, finding the link in the upper right-hand corner that says donate, and making a contribution equivalent to what you would be putting in the plate. May we give today in love and in hope. Please join me in saying the dedication of the offering. The words will be on the screen. May these gifts and the work of our hands and hearts give power to all we stand for as a community of faith. Our closing words are by Philip Randall Giles. May the quality of our lives be our benediction and a blessing to all whom we touch.